In the dark corner of boxing, where dreams can turn into nightmares, emerges the story of a man whose talent took him to the top, but whose decisions dragged him to the bottom. A man who, once acclaimed for his prowess in the ring, became an infamous name, convicted of multiple murders and sentenced to life in prison. This is Reggie Gross, the boxer who in 1986 faced a young and promising Mike Tyson in a fight that, unbeknownst to him, would seal the fate of both. A story of boxing, crime, and tragedy that deserves to be told. Welcome back to your place where you'll learn about the details and the most incredible fights in history. Grab your favorite drink and a snack so you can enjoy this incredible Tyson vs. Reggie Gross fight. Before the boxers go to blows, we want to tell you a little about each other's history, not only to give you some context for the fight, but also to understand where the fighters come from. Most people know Tyson's story, but Reggie, where does he come from? Who did he train with? Was he excited to face Iron Mike in his prime? Reggie Gross wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. His early years were spent on the rough streets of Baltimore, a hotbed of crime and violence that surrounded him from a very young age. At just 13, he'd already crossed the line, landing in a juvenile detention center for pickpocketing. His path seemed predestined for darkness until he found a glimmer of hope, an escape: boxing. Like many stories of troubled kids who saw an opportunity to escape prison in boxing, especially if they showed talent in the ring. Under the tutelage of legendary trainer Mac Lewis, Gross, a tall athlete with a punching power few possessed, quickly rose through the ranks. His raw talent and unwavering determination propelled him forward. The Baltimore Kid earned respect in the boxing world, racking up early wins against opponents like Burt Cooper and Jimmy Clark. Major promoters began to take notice, seeing the glow of a budding star. He seemed to have a long way to go in boxing, especially because of his trainers and sponsors who seemed interested in learning more and giving him more opportunities to fight. But the streets, like a persistent shadow, never left him. Despite a promising future in the ring, Gross became embroiled in Baltimore's brutal drug wars. He worked for one of the city's most notorious gangs, under the command of the feared Black Broly. His involvement in multiple murders and violent crimes earned him a sinister reputation, which extended far beyond the ring. And as if the downward spiral weren't enough, drug addiction caught up with him, one more shackle tying him to his doomed destiny. Despite everything, the boxer clung to his training, believing that one day, finally, he would escape this nightmare. The tunnel of darkness seemed to have a light at the end when, in 1986, Reggie was chosen as the next opponent for boxing's rising star, none other than Iron Mike Tyson himself. While we don't know if it was a blessing or a curse, since even mentioning a fight with Tyson wasn't something to celebrate, especially during the Golden Age, Gross saw it as a way out of that nightmare of violence and the like. Under the ironclad guidance of the legendary Cus D'Amato, Tyson arrived with a terrifying record: 21 wins, 19 of them by knockout. An unstoppable hurricane in the ring. But Gross, desperate for a change in his life, knew that a victory over such a brilliant prospect would catapult him to another dimension. He was determined. "I'm going to eat Mike Tyson like he's a beef for dinner," Gross bellowed before the fight, with a forced confidence that hid the inner storm. However, for the Baltimore boxer, fate had a much more bitter outcome in store. On June 13, 1986, Madison Square Garden's Felt Forum witnessed a spectacle as brief as it was explosive: the confrontation between Mike Tyson and Reggie Gross. It was a true fireworks display, a lightning bolt in the night. The odds were in Tyson's favor, but only just. Many expected Reggie Gross to stop the fearsome Iron Mike, and Gross's expression seemed to refuse to give him a chance. The first bell rings for both fighters to begin the show. The audience was completely in suspense. No one seemed to want to miss a single move from either boxer. From the first bell, Gross launched into the attack, unleashing a barrage of quick jabs and sharp punches. He wanted to surprise, to overwhelm the young phenom. But this Tyson, in his prime, was a force of nature. He adapted with impressive speed to Gross's aggressive style and quickly began to dominate the center of the ring. Halfway through the first round, fate sealed its course. Tyson, with the precision of a surgeon and the power of a sledgehammer, landed a powerful left hook that sent Gross sprawling to the canvas. The impact was brutal, a thunderclap that resonated throughout the arena. Reggie managed to get back to his feet, his will intact, but his body trembling. However, the bad boy from Brooklyn gave him no respite. He continued his attack, an unstoppable storm of blows. Tyson's superiority was overwhelming, and the referee, in an act of mercy, stopped the fight with just 24 seconds left in the first round. The crowd went wild with the fast-paced action. It's exactly what they wanted to see. Two dangerous beasts fighting to prove who's the true king of the ring. Although many wanted more spectacle, no one complained that the match had ended so quickly. Iron Mike took the victory by technical knockout, improving his record to 22 undefeated victories. His path to glory was paved, and just a year later, he would become the youngest world heavyweight champion in history, a legend forged in the steel of his fists. But for Gross, that defeat meant nothing. In fact, it represented the point of no return. The moment when the life of crime completely swept him away. A year after his fight with Tyson, Baltimore homicide detectives arrested him for the murder of Maurice Cozen, a street dealer and rival of Broly's gang. Eyewitnesses described a chilling scene. Cozen was shot in the upper body, and then the shooter approached and shot him multiple times in the head. This was not a random act of street violence, but a premeditated and professionally executed homicide. Despite multiple testimonies placing him at the crime scene, the jury found him guilty. Gross, with most of the $50,000 he earned from the fight against Tyson, spent a fortune on lawyers, but justice caught up with him. Despite the legal troubles, his boxing career continued to decline rapidly. In 1987, he lost to Frank Bruno, and in 1988, he lost to Donovan Ruddock. But these defeats in the ring weren't the biggest problem. Gross's real nightmare was just beginning. Donnie Idris, a criminal turned FBI informant and a figure who could have easily inspired a character in The Wire, had been recording conversations within Broly's gang. Those recordings revealed Gross's involvement not only in Cozen's murder, but also in the murders of two other drug dealers from rival gangs using automatic weapons. Gross was accused of receiving $3,000 for each murder. In the summer of 1989, Reggie Gross, embracing the weight of his crimes, pleaded guilty. "I was addicted to heroin. I made huge mistakes. I can't change the past, but I can improve in the future. I know I'll be gone for a long time. I just pray it's not for the rest of my life," he declared, with a plea that didn't move the judge. Judge Paul Niemeyer sentenced him to 3 consecutive life sentences. "You denied yourself a promising boxing career by choosing a path that led you to violent crimes?" the judge declared, his voice firm and his gaze unwavering. Gross, who later recanted his confession, is now 60 and remains in prison. His expected release date is 2048, when he will be 86. Unlike Tyson, who found his redemption in the sport and a second chance at life, Gross is a tragic example that boxing can't always save a man from himself. Sometimes the strongest chains are the ones you forge with your own choices.